Ever since the pandemic, more South Africans have realized the importance of estate planning and specifically the drafting of a valid, signed will has become a non-negotiable. Today, I'm speaking to Kobus Wentzel, Executive Head of One Life Distribution, and Zale Hechter, CEO of Cliqtech. Good day, guys. It's great to connect with you. Let's roll. Kobus. According to the Master of the High Court, 70% of South Africans do not have a will. It's actually unbelievable to think of it in these day and age. On a daily basis, we see that beneficiaries are taken off guard when it comes to the cost of wrapping up an estate, often leaving these beneficiaries without liquidity while the estate is wrapped up, which we all know can take years these days. Yet there are so many players in the estate planning market. You've recently launched your own version of an estate planning product, One Life Wills and Estate Planning. So, why did you decide to launch this offer, and what do you think makes your product different from what is already out in the market?
Good afternoon, Renette. Not only is winding up with an estate a tiresome exercise, but also an expensive one with lots of red tape, leaving families sometimes in financial distress while dealing with loved ones passing. So our research conducted on the various wills and estate planning offerings currently in the industry has highlighted the need for simplicity in wills and estate planning processes. It's also important that a favorable client journey needs to be experienced, as well as a comprehensive value proposition that is relevant for both the consumer as well as the financial advisor alike. So we also believe our unique wills and estate planning offering is not only positioned to the traditional affluent market, but all South Africans, as well as all customer segments within South Africa. So together with our partnership Cliqtech and Fairheads, we've put together a product offering that is unique, that is easy, it's fast and comprehensive for both financial advisors as well as the clients.
I think your comment on it has to be suitable for any segment of the market is quite an important one, because sometimes we tend to focus on a specific market. So can you give us a quick overview of the product and how the whole sales process differ from other similar products, considering we are talking to the advisor?
Well, we run this off what we call Vantage platform. Now, you'll remember that this is our digital solution that was launched in 2019, and that's currently it was so well received as well as utilized by so many independent financial advisors. So the entire process is digitally enabled on Vantage, and it's also integrated all the way from drafting the will to estate planning to underwriting as well as policy acceptance. So we've simplified the wills drafting process that it can be done digitally enabled within 15 minutes. And we've got some really great benefits on this product as well. So Zoe will touch a little bit later in terms of the Cliqtech offering, but specifically referring to our smart executor, which is an experienced and skilled executor that will be appointed for the client. There's also smart storage that we'll talk through a little bit later on, which also includes the safe storage of the will, which is really important, but also that we offer a courier service that will get the will, the client and the will signed immediately as and when is required by the specific client. And then there's also Smart Check, which is the first of its kind in the fiduciary technology, which checks home affairs records pretty much on a monthly basis to ensure that the will is kept up to date. When we move on to the risk product, better known as the life product, that will assist in terms of the expenses that it needs to be required to cover, as well as the shortfalls in that specific estate. We've also built in a liquidity benefit. Liquidity benefit is a benefit that pays out within 48 hours to immediately cover some of the expenses that clients will incur upon the untimely death of a specific individual. We've also built in what we call an income benefit. So we all know that it takes some time to wind up the estate. And for that, the client will have an option to choose an income that will be paid over a 6 to 9 month period directly to their bank account while the estate is being wound up. So it's a very unique, different, and what I would like to recall to as a very disruptive package as well as offering and value proposition that we're going to go to market with our partnership with the likes of Cliqtech.
You are filling a few gaps there. Zale, maybe you can take us through how the calculator works and how do you ensure that the client is not over-insured?
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much. So what actually happens is as the broker accesses Vantage and then moves into the will system, there's going to be a number of fields and questions that are going to be asked, but it's simultaneous as actually when you're actually going through the will. So it's not a separate calculation. It actually happens in the background. So what happens is as you are completing, your assets, liabilities, investments, properties that you may have, how you married, if you married, the calculator then works out the exact amount that it's going to cost you at that time to pay executive fees, estate duties, transfer fees, whatever it may be, and then it actually gives you that exact number. And then the system will then give the opportunity to cover that risk, and then that's when you'll be able to take out the new product that Kobus was alluding to now.
It sounds like you're really making it easy. So Kobus and Zale, the next question is for both of you or whoever wants to answer. So we know that one of OneLife's main goals is to use the digitalization to enable financial advisors as far as possible. And the partnership here between you and Cliqtech demonstrates that you do this with your built-in intelligence. Explain to us what you call the fit tech that powers this product and how does it benefit the client at the end of the day?
Yes, digitalization has been one of our and OneLife's key strategic objective for years now. And after having reviewed all the relevant wills and estate propositions and players in the industry, we came to the conclusion that the Cliqtech offering is a perfect fit for our strategic objectives. But I'll hand over now to Zale to explain what FitTech and their proposition is all about.
Yeah, thanks. So fiduciary or FitTech technology or fiduciary technology is a term that we coined a few years ago. At the time when I launched the business, there wasn't really a technology backing, the will space. It was still very much the traditional way of having to go manually and going to make an appointment and finding the time to do it and all that. And we said, look, there must be a way that we can do this more efficiently and more customer centric. And that's pretty much what it is. So, but the trick was not just making it accessible and easier, but also maintaining the quality and making sure that the quality of the technology and the will, the outcome, which is the will, is at such a level that it doesn't compromise that, because there are other options out there. I mean, you can go online and look for a template for a one-page will, but in actual fact, it's actually more dangerous just to do it like that, because you don't actually know what you don't know. And so what we did is we took technology and we said, well, how can we make this better? And that's how we started the journey of actually building out this technology. And so that's fiduciary technology. It's technology underpinning and supporting, fiduciary services.
Okay.
Kobus, perhaps you want to just talk a little bit about how it integrates with Vantage and a bit more about how seamless that is.
Yeah,
so it's a fully integrated digital solution. So that means that all the way from the will's drafting process, leading into the estate planning and advice process, ultimately leading into underwriting and then policy acceptance. So as the market is aware, is that Vantage is a fully digital solution. So we've integrated with the likes of Cliqtech and their side of things, as well as importantly, is that we use our unique underwriting platform. And our unique underwriting platform is both available for limited as well as comprehensive underwriting question sets, with the straight-through processing of 97% of policies that will be accepted within 35 minutes. And obviously, what we've also done is that we've built in, we've also included the traditional, call it Vantage benefits and features, such as there's no paperwork involved. We've got a record of advice that's built in, that's pre-populated after the sale is concluded, and that's been sent directly to the client as well as to the broker. There's remote acceptance, and due to the fact that lockdown happened, where many financial advisors were not allowed to deal with clients face to face, like what we're currently engaging on the likes of Teams. You can do remote acceptance with the broker or the financial advisor being in Johannesburg and the client being in Cape Town, as an example. And through this proposition, I'm very excited and convinced that it will definitely disrupt the market and what currently is available, combined with our partner Cliqtech, their true value in terms of the will's drafting and as well as the estate planning process, combined with our intelligence that we built into Vantage over the years.
This really makes me excited because pre-COVID, way pre-COVID, we had a lot of content always in the magazine on, is technology going to replace the advisor and the whole role of technology? And for me, it's so exciting to see how we have to use technology and how technology makes the life of the advisor and the broker just so much easier. There's no competition. There's no fear that it will take you over. You still very much need it. But how amazing is the technology that we use to make this job just so much better, more efficient, and making the name of our industry so much better and more positive to the outside world, right?
Yes.
So you've taken us through the product and we've spoken about the technology that drives the Zale, but can we get a bit into the detail of the will? So let's talk about fiduciary supporting the wills and estate sections. You've said that the advisor is there with the client throughout the process and there's no disintermediation, which we've spoke about, but who provides the fiduciary support? And can you maybe just elaborate on that for us?
Sure. So there's throughout the entire journey, there is support for the broker, the customer. So we have a live chatbot and a support team on the back end that will help if there's any questions or queries about the will itself or any parts of the system. But if you look at specifically at the fiduciary side, so one thing that's very unique with us is that we quickly realized that because of a will is quite a personal thing. Somebody still wants to have that final check to say, yes, this is correct, and or maybe change this or change that, and have that fiduciary expert that works on this all the time to actually check it. So every will that is completed is sent first for a review by a fiduciary expert that will then liaise directly with the customer and with the broker. And then once that's they're reviewed and they are happy, they're then able to carry on and sign that will, and then obviously have it collected and stored, as Kobus said. But there's the actual person that's right there, and so that's from the actual will itself. And then if you look at from the deceased estate administration, obviously very important that you have the right people as the executors to make sure that you're going to be able to wind up the estate correctly. So because we've got all the information from a technical point of view, right? We know all the parts, we know the policies, we know the players, and that we're able to take that information immediately to our partner's estate plan, and they are then able to actually wind up that estate so much faster because they also have proprietary technology on their side that takes that information and will wind up an estate. On average, an estate in South Africa, depending on the size, anything from a year to 2 years. I mean, we've all heard, the horror stories around deceased estates. Their average is about 6 months. So it really makes such a big difference having that information up front. And then also we've from let's say a trust point of view. So obviously, if both parent or parent dies, if it's a single parent, there's guardians that are in place. Now, a lot of people say, yes, I want to be a guardian, happy to do that, but I don't actually know what that entails. What do I do? What support do I have? So working with FANews with this, I mean, they've got nearly 90 years, I think maybe more, of experience in the trust space, and making sure that it's an independent group of trustees that's going to look after that money, make sure it's invested correctly, make sure that the guardians have support is critical in this journey also. And especially if you think about what Kobus was saying, is that it's available to everyone. We know how many single parent homes there are in South Africa. And a major risk is that if that parent dies, what actually happens to the children? They don't know, and you need to make sure that you have that planned out by having feds involved in the testamentary trust and giving that support is critical to the service. So yeah, I suppose that's the key parts is continuous support, making sure that you've got a great trust partner, which we have in feds, and making sure from a fiduciary and executive point of view, we've got a estate plan to make sure that the will is first done correctly, because they specialize in that, and in the deceased estates wanting it up.
I think your partnerships makes 100% sense. So Zale, you've said that having a client's estate information continually updated enables the estate to be wound up quickly. How does this work? And maybe tell us more about that.
Sure. So generally in the process, when you have to wind up an estate, let's say if you don't know anything, and unfortunately, like Kobus said now, I mean, most people don't have a will in place. So they would still have to wind up the estate. It's going to be through the laws of interstate succession. And what's going to then happen is the family is going to have to be approached by the executor to try and get information. Now, the problem that happens with that is that the family doesn't always know all the information, especially when it comes to policies. And we know in South Africa, there's a massive gap in terms of unclaimed benefits.
Yeah.
In the billions, right? So invariably something like that's going to get missed. It means that they've got to, I mean, we've had stories of people having to go through post boxes and, you know, get into emails and to try and find out all the different parts of this person's estate. Now, apart from the time delay that results in, the amount of emotional stress and anxiety that causes to a family that just lost somebody that now has to do that just is uncalled for. So by making sure that we have it updated at least every year, we ask the person to update the will. We have at least in the last year what is pertinent, which gives the executors a massive head start to actually get the estates wound up quicker.
And in a specific segment of the market, you often see that people's contact details often change. I assume there's a process in place for you to have a lot of next of kins, or how do you overcome that? Because I think that's part of the whole problem with the unclaimed benefits is contact details that literally changes. How do we get over that?
So definitely involved on our side is that we would frequently engagement directly with the client to ensure that those contact details are correctly updated. That also speaks to the one benefit that we've also included on this product is smart storage, where we also then check directly on a monthly basis with Home Affairs through the likes of our partner Cliqtech and Zale and his team to ensure that that individual is still alive and well. Ultimately, Renette, we not only in the business of providing peace of mind to clients when a client takes out a policy to satisfy a specific, call it concern or need, but we're definitely in the business of fulfilling our promise, which is to pay and settle a claim over the shortest period of time. And for that, you would need to frequently engage throughout the life of the contract with that specific individual.
Okay.
Can I add to that, Red? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
So in the system itself, it also allows the person doing the will to notify beneficiaries, guardians, spouse in that journey, so they're well aware of that.
Okay.
So they know if anything's changed, you know, they're going to let somebody know, which is important. And then also just like what Kobus was saying about the actual product, one of the things that I love about it is that from an executive point of view, the funds that are paid out from the policy go directly into the late estate bank account of the deceased. So it's ring fence for those fees and costs. And it's, you know, it can't be touched for any other reason. Okay. And you can be rest assured that the money that you put aside to actually cover those fees and costs are going to be used for that.
Kobus, to wrap up, what is the main benefit for the advisor and what is the main benefit for the client? So
let's firstly start with the client. We've already mentioned the safe storage of the will, easy access to make changes. We've also included lower executive fees as well as conveyancing fees. But ultimately, the main benefit is the preserving and protecting of their assets as well as their generational wealth. And we all understand that the client or the beneficiaries, when going through this process, while they're still grieving due to the loss of a loved one, we would like to make it as easy and simple as possible for them to assist them in terms of a financial solution, which we believe this is perfectly positioned for them. For the advisors, you can, throughout the life of the contract, or rather with the engagement of the client, understand and update the assets as well as the life stages of that specific client, but giving them line of sight in terms of the client's financial circumstances, as well as enabling them with better financial planning, upsell and cross-sell opportunities that exist in this specific platform, as well as critical to understand to satisfy the need of that specific individual. And then very importantly, as we said, you can do all of this with all the benefits of Vantage, the digital financial solution that we put in place. And then ultimately, as all the advisors would love to know, is that there definitely are attractive fees both throughout the sales and onboarding of the client, as well as a winding up of the estate as well. So those are the main benefits that we believe that we put in place for a very attractive package for both client as well as advisor.
Thank you, Kobus. Thank you, Zale. It was a very informative discussion, and definitely time for me to go and double check if my will is up to date. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rionette.